Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
A day late, an hour late, and it's going to be a short podcast. That's what you're getting today with Miguel and Holly, Uncensored. Yeah. There's been so much going on. So we're going to talk about why we did not do the podcast yesterday. We do apologize, but there was a medical emergency that prevented it. And the reason why we're late, we'll get to that right now, is because it is 11:37 that we're doing the podcast on Thursday. There is this huge fire in Charlotte by one of the super nice Ritzy Mall, South Park Mall. And this huge fire erupted right at the end of our show in this sort of being in construction apartment complex. And I think the last time we checked was a 5-alarm fire.
Yes.
And
it doesn't get bigger than that.
You did the research. What exactly, when you say 5-alarm fire, what does that mean?
It's the level of severity. One time, way back in the day before I actually really knew what it meant, my friend was dating this guy. She's like, "You're going to think he's so hot. Wait till you meet him." And I met him and I was like, "Oh, that man is a 5-alarm level of hotness." There's a reason that people say that.
Got it.
5-alarm, when it actually comes to fires, is the highest level of severity you can get for a fire. We're talking all hands are on deck. I was reading that typically in a decent size, a New York or LA necessarily, in a decent sized metro area, you're really only talking one 5-alarm fire a year, if that even, because it's so destructive. And it can spread. It can take days sometimes for it to be fully extinguished. We're talking probably, I'm trying to remember what I read, and it's at least 25 plus fire trucks, all these different levels of equipment. They're bringing in all this new oxygen tanks. They've got a whole oxygen area set up as a tent itself. They've got a whole tent for snacks and electrolyte beverages for the firefighters who are going to be there for hours and hours and hours, and maybe even 24 hours or more doing shifts and stuff.
There's an update. Just now.
What?
Debris from the South Park area fire falls onto roof of Rocket Mortgage building. Crews respond.
Oh, see, then now they got to send some of the people that are dealing with that over to there.
Good
and
Lord.
it can impact, it can get out of control and quickly impact other areas of the city.
Yeah, one of my friends, Tyler, who works in the area, I just saw on his Instagram where they weren't in the building, but they were in the South Park area. They just sent them all home because it's smoke. And so just now, as they were interviewing people around the area, people have masks on now because you don't want to get that, in
smoke
in your
inhalation
system.
can be very deadly, actually. So, I mean, it's 5-alarm. You don't get worse. Think of a level, a category 5 hurricane or a level 5. What do they call level 5 tornadoes? Whatever that
category.
is.
Wait,
I don't know what they do for tornadoes.
Yeah.
But this is the worst of the worst.
Yeah. And I'm not making small of this, but I think it showed the severity of the issue. But think about This Is Us back in the day.
I know, and that's immediately what I went to.
But
in my head too, and I stayed quiet.
Right. But that was such even though it's a fictional show, I think it also showed all of us that don't know much about fires how, Jack made it through the fire. He's fine. But it was the smoke that eventually got him. And so that's why. So I think that's something that we need to continue to get out throughout the day is even don't go investigating. Let me be a looky-loo, because the smoke is very dangerous and it can have lasting effects on you after the fact.
Especially because from what I understand, just from hearing stuff on your end of the microphone as you were watching the news, weren't they saying that it was an insulation truck that was pumping insulation into the ceilings of this apartment complex that was under construction?
Yeah, that was the last update. Now that was about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's still the case.
Now later,
but yeah.
Think of those chemicals.
Back to your point, and we're not sure when we will find out exactly what started this fire, but construction workers that were on scene speaking with our reporters, one of them telling Jane Monreal that at 9 this morning, this insulation truck ignited with the machine that was spraying the ceiling there. Austin Walker
So that's just, I think what's also scary, because thankfully from what we've seen so far, and hopefully it'll stay this way, that there have been no casualties. And so we are keeping our fingers crossed that remains the case.
It's a miracle that there hasn't, up till this point, that we haven't heard anything.
But if you, I just thought this the other day, I think it was Tuesday, when I was driving down South Boulevard from my place in Uptown to my hair place where I get my hair twisted. And it was a pretty long drive and there was lots of traffic, and I cross over several times the trains, and like every other block, there is construction for a new apartment complex, for a new, so if you are one of our, old school Platypus Posse members from Tampa, think about around Amalie Arena for like 6 years, when it was just every time you looked, Water Street was being built up, and that's what's happening right now in Charlotte, where every block there is something new being built. And in the process of that, things happen because it's, and who knows if it's a human operator mistake or just because of all the construction going on, equipment, but you just never know. So it's makes hopefully, people go back over safety precautions and make sure that everything is okay if that is the case.
Yeah.
But it's a scary time. So we're hoping that everybody's okay.
Absolutely.
Well, so there's that. Now let's talk about why we didn't do the podcast yesterday, because old Holly O'Connor just can't catch a break to save her damn life.
What? Like, what in the hell?
It's part of the end game. You got to get hurt sometimes. Yes. What you thought? You weren't going to get scratched up?
True.
Point?
It's part of the battle. You've been emotionally scarred. Now you got to have a little physical nick in the game.
Okay, that's just great. That's great. I have several different prongs of this that I want to talk about, actually. But so I hurt myself. For those that cannot see, because you're just listening to the podcast, which I have a feeling is a large majority, I hurt myself. I have my entire right hand up to my elbow, arm, I guess that would be arm, wrapped up in this thing. So it's an ace bandage, but underneath is like half of the arm has a molded to my arm plaster cast, and then the other part is just sort of free. So it's not like a full plaster cast like you would have, like your friend wouldn't be able to sign this or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I yesterday morning, when I did not come to work, thought that I for sure had broken my wrist, because I've never felt pain like that. And now I've never broken a bone. And I think I might still be able to say this because per yesterday's x-ray, they said there's no break, but they're not sure. As a matter of fact, one of my x-rays, it doesn't show any breaks or fractures. Like it's the same thing, but you know what I mean? The outside of your bone on an x-ray is supposed to be very smooth. And on one of my bones, it looks a little wonky. Like it looks like there's something there, but the x-ray tech was like, I don't really know what to tell you this is. And I went to an urgent care that has the x-ray, and they were so nice. And the doctor there, who was approximately 20 years old, like very learned woman, but like looked like and this is how I know I'm getting old, because I thought she looked very young. But she was like, she's like, I'm the jack of all trades doctor. And to me, there's no fracture here, but it looks like something's off. So that's why they put this plaster thing on my arm. And so she said, we need to refer you to like an orthopedic person. And I thought that meant feet. Like I was like, orthopedic?
Why my feet? It's my arm.
In my head, I was thinking orthopedic shoes, but that's not what it's just anything having to do with bones, I guess.
Question. I have never broken anything either, but did it hurt when they were putting that cast on? Like, I wonder if they're as gentle as they can be.
They were trying to be very gentle. They were super gentle because it hurts. Like when they were taking x-rays, she's like, put your hand flat on the table. And I was like, I don't know if I can. Like just flattening out the hand was painful. Moving it in any way, shape, or form was painful.
Gosh.
And so when they put this cast on, it actually holds it in place so that it doesn't hurt. And that's why I was even able to come to work today, because I could not. It was such excruciating pain just to bump it. Even with a brace on yesterday morning, I had to call out. I called Miguel. I feel like I make a habit of calling Miguel at 5 a.m. crying.
I know. I was like, who died? Like, what happened? Like, I was like, that was my first thought because I was actually running late yesterday, and so I was still in the car, and so I had my phone plugged in. And all of a sudden, my Succession ringtone comes on. I'm like, what? Because you know it's
nobody calls at that hour.
4:45 in the morning, and so I'm just listening to some podcast, just not thinking about what's happening. And then Succession theme comes on. I'm like, and then I see Holly flash up, going, "I have this picture of you from forever ago," and you're like, "Hi," and I'm like, whatever this phone call is, it is not that picture that's on my screen right now in my car.
It is not.
And then Holly's like, and I'm like, oh my God, who died? What happened?
I know, I'm sorry. I think, and it wasn't too bad because I had tried to stop my sniffling, but I was just like, hey, so I don't know how to start these calls. So I just go, hey, so I'm not gonna come in today because I'm in a lot of pain. Like the wrist thing is worse than I thought. I can't. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I know. Like I should have tried.
Meanwhile, my hands are just gripping the wheel, and I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, what's happening? What do I need to do? Do I need to drive somewhere? Do I need to go somewhere? Do I need something? What's happening? What's going on?" And you're like, "The show." I'm like, "Girl, fuck the show. Like, are you okay? Is everything fine? We can figure that out."
Every single time I've ever called Miguel with an emergency, I'm always like, "But the show," and he's like, "Fuck the show."
I'm like, "Nah, I could put something together real quick. Like we can, Kelvin and I can figure it out. That's fine. I'm just, are you okay?"
Yeah, I wasn't really, not yesterday morning. So it happened on Tuesday evening at 5:00. And then I had to go pick up Maya from dance. And then we had to get her dinner. And then finally I was like, I need to probably get this x-rayed. And we found an urgent care that does x-rays right by my house. So I got x-rayed, or I didn't get x-rayed that night. A doctor saw it. And she was like, our x-ray tech isn't in until tomorrow, but here's this brace. And so I was like, thank God for something, because I had just been cradling my arm and it was all black and blue on like the inside fleshy part.
Did you take photos?
No, I didn't. I should have. But
Kelvin's like the social media, damn it.
When I do take this off, eventually here, when I go to my ortho appointment, I will. Like it will be worse than, I'm sure, because it will have a couple of days to get black and blue. But the inside of my palm is all black and blue, and my wrist, and like the knuckles on my hand are also all scraped up. And I'm like, where did I even hit? What part? And every time I tell someone this, they're like, oh, it's the impact. I'm like, oh, it's the impact. It just pushes things through your hand. I don't know. And so then yesterday morning when I stayed home, I had my brace on, and even at night, I did not sleep well. And I was like tossing it because there's no good way to put your arm. I'm like, which way do I lay? I don't want to touch it. Didn't sleep well. Woke up Wednesday morning, could not do the show because I bumped something or whatever. I reached with my right hand and it was like shooting pain. So then I went to the x-ray, and that's when they said there's nothing broken that we can see, but then they're referring me to this orthopedic surgeon, because they might need to do like an MRI because it's extremely painful, and they just want to make sure. I'm now starting to worry, like, what if it's a tendon or a ligament or something that would be maybe even worse than a broken bone, to be fair. I don't know. So I'm nervous, but I'm trying to keep it out of my mind, and I'm a little pissed off because yesterday, the referral service called me and I missed it. Now, I know that's my fault. My phone was in the kitchen. I was in the living room. I missed the call at like 2:15. And because the doctor had said, we're going to try and get you into something as quickly as possible, hopefully by the end of the week. And I missed the referral service's call. And so I called her right back like 20 minutes later, and it went to voicemail. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I called her again before 5. Nothing. Then I called again this morning and it wouldn't even connect to the number. And I'm like, can someone just call me? Like, what are y'all doing? Like, you just called once and then you're like, F you. I don't know how that works, but I'm a little irritated because I'm painful.
I want to give a little shout out to my old barber from Tampa, St. Pete, Edan. He said, Holly, we are matching cast. Hope you feel better.
Oh, no.
And he, poor guy, I feel so bad for him. I went to him for what, I think 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, a long time.
He came to the wedding, did my hair the day of. He can't cut hair for weeks, possibly months. So
what happened to him?
I forgot what happened. I know he's had some pain for a while. I'm sure he'll respond here in a second. But
yeah, let us know.
What did happen to you, Holly? How did you get in this predicament? And by the way, we only have like 9 minutes left. Sorry.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, because we gotta celebrate. One of our coworkers, Drew Anderson, he's our big sales manager here. He's been with iHeart for 25 years.
Damn.
So he survived everything.
That's actually a huge accomplishment.
Especially in sales. Like radio sales. That was like the joke when I worked in Savannah, was that once a week you would get we wish Bob well in his future endeavors. So when I got to leave on my own accord from that place to move to Panama City to work with Holly and Kramer back in the day, my last email was like, thank you all so much for, keeping me up or learning me and being nice. I wish everyone well in their future endeavors. And I was like, I did a funny. And then no one said anything back, but I thought it was funny.
Oh, they were like, fuck you.
He said, I broke my wrist playing basketball, but it started as a fracture and got worse. I just had shin surgery on my wrist on Tuesday.
Oh God.
So
I don't want to have to do surgery.
So hopefully yours is not the case. Yeah.
They didn't give you any drugs?
No. And I'm sorry, before I tell the story, I know we are in an opioid crisis in America right now. All right.
Yes,
I know
very
it.
much, yes.
But I am a responsible person. And if they could have just given me 24 hours worth of pain medication, like whatever dosage to get me over that first day. Sometimes I do have a high pain tolerance, and I think I'm pretty good about not you can't outwardly necessarily tell how bad my pain is, I guess, because I'm not sitting there throwing myself on the floor being like, I can't take it. But this is some of the worst pain that I've had in my life. And I was like, I asked the doctor, I'm like, I'm having a really pretty hard time with pain. And she goes, oh, you can take 600 milligrams of Advil. And I was like,
damn.
Got it. And then when I went back yesterday morning, I'm like, please, actually, is there anything you can give me? And she's like, we can give you a shot of this medicine that's basically extra strength Advil. I opted for it. I'm like, shoot me up in the butt with the extra strength Advil.
Save that.
Yeah,
so
that happened. That
happened to Abe when he had his ankle issue, where he was and Abe, he's like you, Holly. He's got such a high pain tolerance because with his painting company for years, that's nothing but pain all day. So when he was in tears when we were in the emergency room, and then they were like, we have Advil, he was basically like, fuck you.
It's because of they created the opioid crisis, by the way, and now they're like, oh, you know what we're gonna do to solve it? All of it's taken away. We're taking it away. I'm like, well, it did have a use when people were in severe pain. The problem was, I'm not trying to call it Panama City, but we were in Panama City. They were giving it out like candy. People had a cold. They're like, you want some whatever it's oxycodone or whatever. And that's what people got hooked.
You should watch everyone watching Hulu, Dope Sick, Michael Keaton. Such an excellent show about how it happened and how it impacted small communities and how the drug company enticed. I mean, in this story, which I can't remember if it was based on a true story, but even the doctor who was prescribing it in this small town in West Virginia, because he got hurt and so he took it, and even he got hooked on it and lost everything. I mean, Dope Sick on Hulu, so good.
I am absolutely glad that they have finally started to do something about this. But on the other hand, I don't know that fully taking pain medication away almost altogether was necessarily the answer. And maybe it's just that they didn't think it was that bad or whatever, but I would have appreciated something to get me through that night other than Advil, because it was just, I could feel it all night long. But so in the wishes of nobody getting addicted to opioids anymore, I will just suffer with the pain, so that's fine. But I did wish that they would have given me something. So what happened is I had to be in Tampa for a very important situation. I had to dress up for it. I had my fancy on, and I wanted to make sure I was exuding an air of professionalism and no nonsense and control. So I dug out my old suits from the closet. I have 2 suits, and they are a nice, I have a pinstriped red lapelled skirt suit. and I have a white pinstripe wide leg pantsuit. And so I had the wide leg pantsuit on Tuesday with these very high stiletto pink heels that I hadn't worn. I hadn't wear heels much anymore. I don't go out to places that really necessitate heels much. So I didn't wear them. I haven't worn them in a while. And all day long, I'm clicking and clacking around on these heels. It was great for my self-confidence, by the way. Like, it just makes me feel powerful. But by the end of the day, I was not only physically tired and my feet kind of hurt from these damn heels, but I also was emotionally and sort of mentally just exhausted. And so I'm walking out to a parking garage. My person was with me and he goes up to his car. He was separate. And I was like, my car's on this level. I'll just see you at home. And I start walking and I see this dude leaned up against a car by mine. And I told this on the air and I feel bad, but like, I'm judging. I'm like, I'm in a parking lot alone. And this guy to me looks potentially a little sketchy, like kind of raggedy clothes, like just maybe white middle-aged man with kind of scraggly hair. And I might have even been smoking a cigarette. I don't know. He just looked like, I was like,
sketchy.
I've judged. I apologize. I've judged this
Girl,
person.
people have been shot for ringing the wrong doorbell or turning around in someone's driveway. We all should be afraid of everything at this point.
Who isn't? So I actually started walking a little faster. But of course, like when you walk a little faster in the heels, it's sort of like, I just don't know. You walk a little bit differently because you kind of have to sashay with the heels. So now I'm kind of clickety clacking a little bit. A little bit faster.
Drop
working down the runway, girl.
I was like, let me just get past this man because I don't know his business, but whatever. I'm just trying to get past it. And I'm not trying to make eye contact. I don't know. So I'm click clacking. And as I'm click clacking, I'm holding like a bottle of water. I got my purse slung across my thing and I'm holding the strap of it. And my sunglasses are on my head. And my heel from the thing gets into my pant leg. And it like kind of trips you up. And then like time slows down and I was like, maybe I'm not going to fall. I can like pull the heel out of the pant leg. No, that was not happening. And this was probably all approximately 1 second, I feel like. But in my head, it was longer. And I was like, I'm like doing the wobble. And I'm like, oh my God, I've now realized I am going to fall.
Can you recreate it?
I will not.
When you're healed.
Yes, when I'm healed. And so I just and my weight, I just went flat down right onto the cement. And I mean, everything went flying. My wrist is, I think, what took the brunt of my weight and my fall because I didn't want to hit my head and I was going face first.
Right.
So I caught everything on my wrist, and then this man comes right over and he's like, "That was so bad! Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like in shock. It was so painful as it just happened, and my shoe had flown off, and my sunglasses flew off, and the water bottle is somewhere. My purse is like, it was a train wreck.
Wobble, baby, wobble.
I mean, it was doing a wobble. He said, let me stop real quick and help this woman out.
Yeah, he did. And he comes up immediately. He's like, "Let me help you up." And he's like, grabbing my hand, but I was like, I didn't know if I could get up.
Oh,
I know.
No.
I was
Was
like,
it that? Was it like a
I was
shaking and just
yeah,
like,
I was like, I'm like trying to catch my breath, and he's just like asking me all these questions, and I'm just like, and then of course I'm like trying to make a joke. So I looked
Holly's
down.
like, I'm on the show. Let me make a joke.
I know. I looked down, and my knee actually hurts really bad too. I can't roll my pant leg up, but like I have a big boo boo, as we call them in the house, big boo boo on my knee because it was this side that fell. And he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? I don't know." And I was like, "I'm fine. Look, I didn't even rip my pants. Thank God for that." Who the fuck cares about my pants? So he gets up, he gathers my belongings, and I'm trying to now hold everything while I'm like shaking. And he's like, "Are you okay?" Like he wanted me to be okay, clearly, because he was not prepared to deal with a woman who was not okay.
No.
And so I took the other shoe off and I'm like, "I'm just gonna, to hell with these shoes." I'm like trying to laugh it off. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I just want to make sure you're good." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm good." just gonna get to my car. That's fine. So I hobble over, I plop in the car, and I'm like, close the car, and I pull up my phone and I dial my person, and I'm like, I fell.
Oh,
no. He's like, oh my God, what? I'm like, I need you to come down. And so he's like, wait, I'll be right there. And so he comes in the passenger seat and he's like, what hurts? And I was like, my hand hurts. I'm like just sobbing because it was so in that moment traumatic. And he's like, can you drive? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. We had to sit in the parking garage for like 30 minutes while I calmed down.
Oh.
And I think I was just in shock. So I'm like, well, you're going to this other thing that you have to do. I'm going to pick up Maya. We just have to get it done. Go get the things and then we'll meet up and then I'll go to an x-ray.
Damn.
So that's what I did.
Bradley said, Holly, I need a hand with something.
Bradley, I'm going to punch you. You know I'll punch you right in the face.
Bradley is the shadiest mother lover I've ever.
Hey. Let's read some comments real quick before we head out. Jody said, my husband just got over shingles and they didn't want to give him enough meds for his size. He's a large man.
Shingles are I had shingles in 2020 when like COVID was a thing. I got shingles on my butt. It can be painful.
Save that. He's a large man, 6'2", 260. I had meds from surgery stronger than what they gave him.
Oh, it's tough, yeah.
Pamela said, in studies of antipyretic effects.
Yes.
I don't even know.
Acetaminophen
has a peak effect at approximately 2 hours and ibuprofen at 3 hours. The recommended dosage intervals are every 6 and every 8 hours for acetaminophen and ibuprofen, respectively. Thus, theoretically, they might be alternated every 3 hours.
So you can alternate Advil and Tylenol every 3 hours.
You lost me at the beginning of the first sentence.
Michael Wilson said, I'm fighting through an Achilles tendon injury, and it was the same for me. They just wanted to give me a high-powered ibuprofen, and I was to get them to give me a shot in the butt, but that was it. Sent me off to a referral to physical therapy that was booked out 5 weeks in advance.
Lord.
And then just to give him a shout out for when he's back, Edan, my old barber in St. Pete, I'll be out for 2 months.
Start that OnlyFans, girl.
That sucks. I'm so sorry.
That's so hard.
Are you
for
gonna do
you, like
OnlyFans?
you literally can't. What?
If you can't, what, Holly? What?
As a way of income.
Searching for OnlyFans. First of all,
Mhm.
all I'm saying is I feel for you because I was really worried about just carrying all my stuff into work and doing everything with only my left hand. Like I just had to cut some commercials and our editing software that we use. I was like, I cannot do this with my left hand. I am quick, like the quickness, proficient with my right hand because I've been doing it for like 20 years now. My left hand, it was like, it was like those memes where it's like the recorder playing the Jurassic Park music. That's me with my hand. Like, look at y'all. I had to write down. We played a game today, and I had to write down the person's name that I was playing for. That's from my left hand.
No.
It looks like I'm a 5-year-old. Like what? Oh. Anyway, it's been a time. I'm really thankful to my person who has helped me. Oh.
Holly, this trying to edit.
That is me doing everything in my daily life.
Yeah. We need to make a video of that or something tomorrow of like you, I don't know, we get Katie Summers to film you from above and you just trying to like write Miguel and Holly with your left hand.
Maybe I'll make a couple videos today. I'll make my person film me like when I'm trying to try to brush your teeth with the opposite hand. It's the most ridiculous looking thing. Because you don't even know how to hold a toothbrush. You look like you've got like what do you have? Look like you have arthritis. It's
my gosh. We'll have to find some videos to mimic. By the way, Edan, my old barber, you should make an OnlyFans.
Okay, see,
you know what? I mean, he's got to make an income. He uses his hands to,
You should follow him on Instagram. His name is Cutversation.
No, let me find out.
Hey, I sent lots of gays his way, and they're all like, "How you doing?" And they use his government name, Daniel.
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, okay." All right, we are done. Holly, please feel better.
I'm just trying to get a hold of this referral, people. That's my goal today.
Well, we are sending you some love. You can send Holly some love on our Instagram at Radio Holly. Producer Kelvin, what's your social media?
At Kelvin Live. Sorry, I found him on Facebook. I was like, damn, he's kind of cute. My Instagram is at Kelvin Live, and you can follow me on PlayStation. Pussy killer.
We'll see.
Hi. Holly, by the way.
Miguel.
Edit.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app.